Lucifer was one of God's rebellious angels. He started a war in heaven against the throne and power of God. Lucifer was defeated by the archangel, Smichael. Michael threw him into the underworld. Smichael sealed Lucifer with his sword in the pit of hell. Lucifer asked to be freed. Michael replied that he would release him if Lucifer would become his ally and submit to God. However, Lucifer refused. Lucifer vowed that one day he would be freed from the pit of hell. He would return, but not as Michael's ally, but as the god worshipped by Michael. As time passed, an army of demons joined Lucifer in hell to help realize his plans for revenge. On Earth, Lucifer's human followers set up a fortress to protect the pit of hell, where Lucifer was being held. They endeavored to free Lucifer and rule the Earth. Laura Milton is an American studying in Italy. She majored in art and wanted to submit a thesis to her professor. Her professor rejected Laura's thesis because in her thesis, Laura mentioned that spirits or spiritual entities are not real. Her professor disagreed. In a cathedral in Turin, Italy, the DNA of Jesus of Nazareth will be displayed. Hundreds of thousands of people will come to witness the historic event when the shroud of Jesus is opened to the public. There have only been 5 shroud exhibitions in the last 100 years. The shroud is believed to have the blood of Jesus on it. In addition to the shroud exhibition, there is also an exhibition of sculptural works. Laura went to the cathedral. She met her best friend, Michael Marconi, a priest at the cathedral. Marconi gave Laura a card so she could enter the cathedral without queuing. Marconi explained that after 3 days of burial, Jesus rose. Bright light emanated from his body, imprinting on the shroud, creating an image of the body. Since then, the shroud is considered to be evidence of his resurrection image. Marconi then took Laura to a place where statues were on loan for the exhibition. One of the statues was of Michael, who stepped on Lucifer's head. Marconi says that Lucifer will return to Earth one day, claiming to be a false god. Marconi then left Laura so she could focus on painting the statue. When Laura was alone, she seemed to hear someone calling her name. When Laura turned around, she found no one there. Just as the exhibition won a close, a strange, hooded woman entered the cathedral. The woman's name was Liz, as seen on CCTV. Liz did not follow the other visitors. Instead, Liz went through a door. The cathedral was finally closed, but Laura was still painting. Liz approached Laura silently. Laura took another look at her painting. She then felt Lucifer's head moving. Laura went closer to check it out. Suddenly, Laura heard a strange noise. Laura approached the window. It turned out to be a crow. Laura then shooed it away, but it wouldn't leave. While Laura was busy chasing the crow away, Liz took the sword from the statue. The crow then left. The cathedral officials then came to see Laura. Laura was asked to go home because it was late at night. Laura decided to leave. She handed her card to the officer, not realizing that the sword on the statue was gone. Laura went to the cathedral's main door, but it was locked. Laura then went back to see the guard, but instead she saw Liz beheading the guard with a sword. Laura ran away, trying to find a way out. She ended up hiding in the church's confession room. Then Liz arrived. She used the guard's head to remove the laser protecting the shroud. Liz tried to break the shroud's protective glass. Marconi then came, asking Liz to stop the action. Liz kicked Marconi and then drove the sword right into his chest. Laura was shocked to see Marconi killed in front of her eyes. In front of the cathedral, Liz's men always came to pick her up. Liz managed to get the shroud of Jesus. Liz and her men then arrested Laura. Liz forbade her men to kill Laura, as she was probably the chosen one. They took Laura with them. In his dying state, Marconi prayed for the angel Michael to help mankind by using his body to fight Liz and her accomplices. Suddenly, a strange blue light appeared and entered Marconi's body. Marconi came back to life after being possessed by angels. Marconi chased Liz's car. Liz realized that the one chasing her was Michael, who possessed Marconi's body. Liz ordered her men to hit Michael. Michael still canned to dodge. He then ran with all his might after Liz's car. Michael fell down because he was only going to become an ordinary human. While possessing Marconi's body, his angelic powers disappeared. Liz then came to a castle house with Dr. Laurent. Dr. Laurent is a scientist who has successfully cloned famous people of the past. He brought them back to life in the form of IVF children. It turns out that Liz and Laurent are working together to resurrect Lucifer on Earth. They need the DNA of Jesus found on the shroud. They will clone him, then use the body as a vessel for Lucifer to rise to Earth. Laura woke up in a glass room with 3 women. They are Brenda, Sophia, and Alina. 4 men then enter. They approached Laura and took a blood sample from her finger. Laura was also photographed. After that, they left. Elsewhere, Michael returned to the cathedral. He entered the CCTV room, where the bishop and a priest were present. The bishop and priest were shocked to see the footage of Marconi being stabbed by Liz. They were even more shocked to see Marconi beside them in good condition and health. The priest intended to call an ambulance because he saw Marconi's wound. However, Marconi asked about the shroud keeper. The bishop told him that Cardinal Vicini, who was assigned to guard the shroud, had a mental disorder, so he lives alone in a safe house in the middle of the forest. Marconi then deleted all the videos so that there would be no evidence. Marconi asked both of them who Laura was. The 2 people were confused, not that Laura was Marconi's close friend. They both realized that what was in front of them was not Marconi, but something was possessing Marconi's body. Marconi then asked the bishop and priest not to tell anyone about this. Marconi then borrowed a car to go see Cardinal Vicini. Meanwhile, Dr. Laurent and his men began the process of taking Jesus' DNA from the shroud. In the middle of the forest, Vicini brandishes a gun at Marconi. Cardinal Vicini thought that Marconi was a messenger priest or bishop. Cardinal Vicini had long warned about the rise of Lucifer, but the cathedral did not believe him and thought he was crazy. Cardinal Vicini then realized that the person in front of him was not a priest, but the angel Michael, who was possessing a human body. Michael told him that Lucifer's men had managed to steal Jesus' shroud. Cardinal Vicini then invited Michael into his house. It turned out that the house was deliberately built as a lookout for the enemy. Cardinal Vicini gave Michael a pair of binoculars. Vicini's house was opposite the place of Lucifer's men. They were preparing to resurrect Lucifer. Michael said that there was no way Lucifer could escape, because he had sealed him in the pit of hell. But Vicini tells him that the scriptures say that one day Lucifer will be free and the gates of hell will open. There are 2 ancient monsters from both worlds assigned to free Lucifer. The 2 monsters are Liz and the other monster from the underground. Cardinal Vicini explained that Lucifer needed a young woman to hold the baby Lucifer, just like Jesus was born from the womb of a human, but many women's bodies were not strong enough to hold Lucifer, so they died. According to Michael, the devil cannot be resurrected in a mortal human body. No human would be able to contain Lucifer. Vicini disagreed that the enemy would use Jesus' DNA. In other words, they will clone Jesus, the only human who can live forever. They will use that body as Lucifer's vessel. Elsewhere, Dr. Laurent tells Liz that Jesus' DNA is ready to put inserted into a woman's womb. Liz then orders her men to prepare Laura and Brenda. They will be used to contain Lucifer's baby. When the officers entered and uncuffed Brenda and Laura, they tried to attack the officers, but more officers came. Laura and Brenda were taken to a place. Liz came to the place and approached Laura. Liz told them that they were implanting a fertilized ovum into Laura's womb. Later, the ovum would become Lucifer's baby. Outside, Vicini escorts Michael to the doorway of the tunnel that leads into the enemy base. Vicini gave Michael the weapons and torches he needed, knowing that Michael could do nothing in his mortal body. Michael then entered the tunnel alone. Inside, Laura and Brenda were brought to the altar in their wedding dresses. Their hands and necks were chained. There was Liz, Dr. Laurent, and many of Lucifer's followers. All the lights were switched on to light up Brenda and Laura. From inside the door, a monstrous creature came out. It was the monster guarding the pit of hell. The monster dragged Laura and Brenda away. Laura and Brenda were then put into a large cage. The monster then turned a lever, which opened a hole under the cage. Down below, Lucifer transformed into a snake-shaped spirit that could fly. Above, Brenda then heard a strange noise. Suddenly, underground monsters came to hold them both. Lucifer walked over to Brenda. The monsters opened Brenda's mouth to let Lucifer enter Brenda's body. Brenda then went into convulsions. After a while, Brenda died. Lucifer then came out of Brenda's body. One of the monsters went into the cage and threw Brenda's body away. Now it was Lucifer's turn to enter Laura's body. Unlike Brenda, Laura did not have convulsions. The monsters left her behind. Outside, when Liz saw Laura walking out of the door, she was happy. Liz announced that Laura was the one chosen by Lucifer to carry Lucifer's baby. Liz then brought Laura into the infirmary. Liz told Laura that she was carrying the new Jesus. Elsewhere, Michael tried to get out of the tunnel. He attacks the two guards in front of him and then disguises himself as a guard and enters the building. He uses the guard's card to get into the storage area where Jesus' shroud is kept. Michael took the shroud and put it in his bag. He then looked at Laura on the monitor. Dr. Laurent then arrived. Dr. Laurent was surprised to see that the shroud was gone. Michael destroyed the laboratory. Dr. Laurent then went out to get help. Michael throws a bomb before he leaves. The explosion kept the officers busy. Meanwhile, Michael entered the place where Laura was locked up. Michael came to rescue Laura. Here Michael heard strange noises. It was Lucifer's voice calling out his name. Michael told Laura that he was not Marconi. Laura, who was terrified, ran away from Michael. Michael managed to catch Laura again. Michael explains that Marconi is dead. Michael only temporarily borrowed Marconi's body. Laura asked Michael to take her out of this place. They both escaped through the tunnel. Dr. Laurent then told Liz that the shroud was missing. Liz ordered her men to look for it. One of Liz's men shot at Michael and Laura. Liz scolded him because Laura shouldn't be hurt in the slightest. They had to capture Laura alive. On the way, Laura suddenly stopped because she felt pain in her stomach. They then heard a horrible sound from behind. Liz's troops seemed to be approaching. Michael took Laura through a narrow passage. Suddenly, the monster guarding the hole tried to grab Laura's hand. Michael shot the creature. Michael throws a flare to lighting up the tunnel. Laura remained hidden in the narrow gap. Meanwhile, Michael checked the situation. Suddenly, Michael was attacked by a monster. The shroud came out of the bag. Michael immediately hid the shroud behind a rock. The monster came again, and Michael tried to fight back, but his strength was limited by Marconi's human body. Michael was defeated, while Laura was recaptured by Liz. Laura threatened to kill the baby in her stomach if she hurt Michael. Laura was then put into the infirmary again, but this time, Laura's hands and feet were tied. Liz advised Laura to accept her pregnancy. Think of it as compensation for Laura's dead husband and child. Elsewhere, Michael struggled to remove the chain around his neck. Finally, he used his strength and succeeded. But after that, Michael fell unconscious. Meanwhile, Liz's men separate to find a shroud. When Michael woke up, he saw the gate to the pit of hell. Michael opened it. The monster wanted to catch Michael, but Michael had already entered the pit. Michael arrived at the pit of hell. The underground monsters immediately attacked him. Michael tried to fight back. Michael searched for Lucifer, but he couldn't find him. Lucifer had turned into a spirit and had entered the baby's body. Michael then looked for his sword, but couldn't find it. A group of mammon then approached Michael. Michael asked about Lucifer's whereabouts. The mammon replied that Lucifer would soon be reborn as a human being, and when that time comes, an army of demons will join Lucifer on Earth. Lucifer would rule the Earth, and they would make Michael rot in the pits of hell alone. Mammon then chained the helpless Michael. Upstairs, Laura dreamt that the child she was carrying had become a monster. Liz was already beside Laura when she woke up. Laura was shocked to see her reflection in the mirror. Her face looked pale and gaunt. Liz then said that Lucifer was perfecting Laura's body so that Laura would be able to hold and protect the baby. Laura begged for the baby to be removed from her body. Liz tried to calm Laura down, saying that she would be released after the baby was born. Several humans approached Michael, They were humans who had been kidnapped to be enslaved by the devil, and now they were trapped in the pits of hell. A woman named Doll asked Michael to free them. Michael promised that if he could get out of this hole, then he would free all those people. Michael said that he was a great angel of God. The humans didn't believe him because Michael didn't have wings, and the only way he could regain his strength was with his sword. Michael asked them to find him a sword that was silver and gold and sharp. Later, he would show them his wings. A human named Grunt said that they had not seen such a sword here. Suddenly, underground monsters came. They beat up the humans. To cut a long story short, Laura's pregnancy was getting bigger and bigger. Laura then saw Lucifer's snake coming out of her body. The snake entered Laura's ear. Laura could hear Lucifer's whispers. Lucifer instigated Laura. Lucifer said that he would help Laura escape from this place as long as Laura would take care of the baby in her womb until it was born. Laura then said that she hated Liz. Lucifer said that Liz was jealous of Laura. Lucifer will help Laura to kill Liz. Laura's physique became more and more sinister. One day when Laura was being examined by a nurse, Laura attacked the nurse. Laura tried to escape. In the hallway, Laura met another nurse. Laura attacked and trampled the nurse several times. With a smile on her face, Laura then realized that the nurse was dead. Laura blamed Lucifer in her womb for turning her into a murderer. Laura wanted to abort the baby in her womb, but Lucifer forbade her. Laura then entered the chemical storage room. Laura blocked the door with a stick to prevent the guards from entering. Laura then took some detergent. Lucifer forbade her to drink the detergent, but Laura resisted and tried to drink the detergent. Laura then screamed as she felt pain in her stomach. Liz then broke down the door. She was shocked to see Laura daring to drink the detergent. Laura then vomited. Liz told the guards to call Lawrence doctor. Laura suddenly reached out to Liz and boiled her. Laura vomited all the detergent she drank into Liz's face. Laura then spoke, but her voice came out as Lucifer's voice. Laura was possessed by Lucifer. Lucifer said that he was tired inside Laura's womb. Lucifer said that after she was born, he didn't want anyone to know about what happened here. Liz agreed. Liz will also close the pit of hell with a bomb after the Mammons ascend. Lucifer then asked Liz to kill Laura later, because Lucifer didn't want his baby to be dependent on Laura. Dr. Laurent then put Laura into a closed ward. Laura's hair was cut off until she was bald. Lucifer's spirit then left Laura's body, heading for the pit of hell. Around the hellhole, there were several bombs installed, just like what Liz said before. Lucifer then possessed the body of a monster. Under the ground, the monster approached Michael. Michael knew that the one standing in front of him was Lucifer. Lucifer then asked Michael to help him lead the demon army against the Word of God. Michael, of course, didn't want to. Lucifer made fun of Michael for failing to protect the earth. Lucifer would soon be born and rule the earth. Lucifer then left. Doll and his friends then tried to free Michael, but still failed. Michael asked them to find his sword. The Mammons were then seen coming from a distance. Apparently, Grunt tried to find Michael's sword. The sword was very heavy, so Grunt needed Doll's help to bring the sword closer to Michael. When Grunt and Doll had tried to get in front of Michael, Mammon forbade Grunt to give the sword. Mammon promised that they would give Grunt whatever he wanted. Doll didn't take their word for it. Doll reminded Grunt that they had been tortured by the Mammons. Finally, Grunt gave the sword to Michael. Michael returned to his angelic body. He took out a pair of wings. Michael beat one Mammon, until it makes the other Mammon run away. Michael also promised Grunt and Doll that he would return again to free them. They were finally able to go back up. Michael then took the shroud that he had previously hidden. Michael then headed to the laboratory to save Laura. Michael was shocked to see Laura's poor condition. Lucifer had completely possessed Laura's body, but Michael still believed that Laura could still fight him. Michael then took Laura away from the laboratory. In the hallway, a nurse saw Michael carrying Laura. The nurse immediately informed Liz. Michael opened Laura's ward. Michael said that the baby in Laura's womb was not a demon. Laura, who who was possessed by Lucifer, screamed, which threw Michael off his feet. Laura then came out of her ward. Laura's amniotic water broke. The water felt hot when it hit Michael's body. Laura, who was possessed by Lucifer, asked Michael to worship him. If not, Lucifer would kill Michael. Michael refused. Lucifer then dug his sharp nails into Michael's neck. Lucifer still wanted Michael to be on his side against God. That way, they could rule heaven and earth. Michael said that he had just received a message from God. The message was that Lucifer would not be able to possess the baby. Instead, the baby would destroy Lucifer. That baby would be the end of Lucifer. Lucifer couldn't believe it. Michael then said that the baby was born of holy blood and was much stronger than Lucifer. Lucifer finally believed it. He wanted to kill the baby, but it was too late. Laura was already having contractions. Lucifer couldn't stop her because the baby wanted to be born. The baby would later bind Lucifer, just as Michael had done. In other words, in every age, Lucifer would be defeated. An angry Lucifer then hit Michael on the head. Liz and Dr. Laurent then came and opened the door. Lucifer asked Liz to kill the baby, but Liz thought it was just Laura's trickery. Liz then brought Laura to the altar. All of Lucifer's followers gathered at the altar, while Laura tried to give birth to a baby boy. On top of the pit of hell, Liz then held the baby. The monster guarding the pit then opened the pit to drop Laura into the pit of hell. Laura, who was on top, tried to escape, but she was too weak. Laura finally fell down. Liz presented baby Laura as their new god. Liz told everyone to worship the baby. Liz then carried out Lucifer's order to kill everyone who was there. After the birth of the baby, Liz ordered the monsters guarding the pit to slaughter them, including Dr. Laurent. Elsewhere, Michael runs towards the pit of hell. He helps Laura, who is clinging to the edge of the pit. Laura then snatched the baby from Liz's hands. Liz asked Michael not to hurt the baby. Michael said that the baby was not Lucifer. The baby has its own destiny. Lucifer was imprisoned in the baby's body because the baby used the holy DNA. Michael handed over the shroud and told Laura to find Cardinal Vicini. Meanwhile, he would finish his work here. They then heard a rumbling sound. Liz said that soon the demons would come out to the surface of the earth. Laura immediately left the place. The portal to the pit of hell opened. The Mammons flew to earth along with the other underground monsters. Michael pushed the door closed, but the monsters guarding the pit attacked him. The Guardian monster opened the pit again. Michael then sees the bomb controls. He activates it, and a massive explosion occurs. Mammon and underground monsters were destroyed by the explosion. Not only was the pit of hell destroyed, the entire castle was also burnt down. Long story short, Laura and Vicini try to return the shroud to the cathedral. Meanwhile, Michael freed the humans trapped in hell according to his previous promise. A few years later, Laura's baby grew into a cute little boy. Laura named him Michael. Liz had been secretly watching him. She still thought that he was Lucifer. Little Michael smiled strangely at Liz. And with that, the story of the devil conspiracy ended.